I'm 45, name's John. I used to be married, my ex-wife was the same age as me. Back then, I worked as a company employee. I had been dating my wife, Emily, since high school, and we had what you'd call a shotgun wedding. Right after getting married, our daughter Alice was born. Then, 12 years into our marriage, the unthinkable happened. Emily had been having an affair with her boss, and apparently, he had just broken things off with her. Emily, trying to uncover the reason, found out that the boss's secretary was his lover.
So she's the one who's been messing with my boss. This thief.
With that, she stabbed the secretary and also stabbed the boss who was nearby. Emily also tried to end her life right there but survived the attempt. Both the secretary and the boss were confirmed dead, and Emily was arrested immediately. I was in a state of panic when the police contacted me and don't remember much of what was said. The fact that Emily had cheated and then committed murder was too shocking for me to process. It was all over the news and magazines. Everything written was true, and I didn't have the energy to argue. Emily was sentenced to 13 years for murder. I handed the divorce papers to Emily's lawyer, who later submitted the completed documents to the city hall. Hearing Emily's words from the lawyer made me tremble with anger.
I intended to die. Living turns out to be such a hassle.
I couldn't believe these were the words of someone who had caused so much trouble for her family. At the time, Alice was 10. She was looked at with curiosity by those around us and had a really hard time. She stopped going to school and even had to be hospitalized for mental illness. Just because we were divorced didn't mean the media stopped chasing us. Reporters were constantly in front of our house, bombarding Alice with questions.
I don't know anything,
she would say, crying as she ran into the house. Calls started coming into my workplace too, so I ended up quitting my job. Alice was not only troubled by the media but also bullied at school for being the daughter of a murderer, so I decided we needed to move. We moved to a small town in the countryside. At first, Alice was wary, but she gradually started to smile again and even managed to graduate from high school.
Dad, thank you so much.
I was truly happy when Alice said that to me. After that, Alice found a job far from home and started living on her own. My ex-wife had already been released from prison, but no letters came for Alice. Shouldn't she at least send one to her daughter? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Time passed, and one day, Alice suddenly came back. What's up? It's not like you to come back so suddenly.
I've decided to get married.
What? After the initial shock, I was overwhelmed with joy. Is that so? That's wonderful. Congratulations. But the next words left me speechless.
Dad, please don't come to the wedding.
Huh?
I'm going to have a wedding, but please don't come.
Why not? What's going on? To my question, Alice said.
Because I'm inviting Mom.
Mom?
Mom's been released. She'll be at the wedding. Dad, I don't need you anymore. So this is goodbye.
Why would you say that? Alice then left the house. I was so shocked, I couldn't move for a while. After that, I quickly moved out and decided to quit my job. My parents were getting sick and couldn't keep up with the farming anymore, so I took over the family business. I've decided to forget about Alice. It felt as though I was going through a breakup. I thought it would be harder to get over this, but surprisingly, I managed to pull myself together pretty quickly. Well, I guess that's how it goes between fathers and daughters. A mom who's gone through the pain of childbirth is irreplaceable, even if she's a criminal. I switched gears to focus on work. However, everything changed with the arrival of a certain individual.
Excuse me, is this Alice's father's house?
The young man who suddenly appeared mentioned Alice's name. Yes, it is. Who might you be?
I'm Alice's fiancé, Michael.
Fiancé. Oh, I see. I was curious why Alice's fiancé would come alone, but I was happy that we could meet, so I let Michael in. Let me introduce myself again, I am Alice's father.
Nice to meet you. I'm glad to see you.
How do you know Alice?
We met through work and hit it off after realizing we both came from single-parent families.
I see. Sorry, I couldn't greet you sooner.
No, Alice told me not to expect a visit from you.
Is that so?
I've heard a lot about you from Alice. She said you always put her first and dedicated your life for her.
Really?
Yes, you're irreplaceable to Alice.
But, Alice said she wouldn't invite me to the wedding. She said she would invite her divorced mother. If what Michael said was true, I wondered how things had ended up like this. I was panicking, not understanding what was going on.
Yes, that's why I came to talk today.
What do you mean?
Please, stop Alice. You're the only one who can.
Stop. What do you mean?
Alice is being threatened by her mother.
What? Michael explained that about 2 years ago, Emily started contacting Alice.
You're alive because I gave birth to you, remember?
With those words, Emily had been extorting money from Alice. She could just refuse.
Yes, I said the same. But Alice didn't do that. It was for your sake.
Me?
Her mother was using you to threaten her.
Listen, if you try to run away, I'll kill John. Please, not my father.
This is unbelievable.
Even for the wedding, all the money is supposed to go to her mother. If you get invited, she said she'd kill you in front of Alice.
How could this be? Alice. Knowing how Alice felt, I was overcome with intense anger towards my ex-wife.
Your daughter is trying to protect you with her own life. But, I absolutely hate that idea. Please, help Alice.
Michael's eyes were earnest, and I believed in him. I asked for the wedding date and decided to go to the venue on that day. On the day of the wedding, I watched the ceremony from a room Michael had prepared for me. Seeing Alice so beautiful on the TV screen brought tears to my eyes. She's grown up so well. Please, please be happy. I'd do anything for that. Even if it means having to kill my ex-wife. The ceremony proceeded without a hitch, and it was time for the parents' thank you speech. A skinny woman stepped onto the stage. It must have been 15 years since I last saw Emily. Then Alice said something no one expected.
I've lived my whole life being called a murderer's child.
The room buzzed at Alice's words. But she didn't stop there.
That smirking woman over there is a murderer who killed someone after an affair. Because of this woman, both my father and I have had a hard life. Yet, my father has always put me first, living only for that purpose. I'm the only one who can protect him. I'll expose this woman to everyone here and make sure she faces condemnation. I'm the only one who can protect my father.
Hearing this, Emily flew into a rage.
You talk about me like that, you think you'll get off scot-free? Planning to go down to hell together? Don't make me laugh. Say whatever you want. If you want to kill me, go ahead. Get caught again, then. You'll spend your life behind bars. That way, I can protect my father. Go on, do it.
I ran to the stage and took Alice's hand.
Dad.
Alice, that's enough. I don't want to hear such words from you. I turned to the audience and said, "My daughter is innocent. Please, forgive her." Then, I noticed Emily looking at us.
Figured you'd come. Such a stupid man.
Say what you will. I'll do anything to protect Alice.
My life doesn't matter to you, right?
Of course. What am I supposed to do for a woman who killed someone out of her own volition?
I came out of prison alone. No one was there for me. You wouldn't understand how that feels, would you? I'm not afraid of killing. I've already killed 2 people.
If you can do it, go ahead. Then I can protect Alice.
Both of you are a joke. Such a farce.
With a creepy smile, she pulled out a knife from her pocket.
I'll kill both of you.
Someone in the venue shouted, "Police!" But it was too late. I had to protect Alice. So, I stood in front of her. Emily came at us, but
Stop.
Alice's scream echoed through the venue. Then, Emily stopped and fell to the ground. She was apparently stabbed in the back.
Who? Who did this?
The person standing behind her was Michael. Michael.
Michael, why?
Michael was shaking and crying.
I finally found you.
The venue was in panic. Then, Michael's father approached him.
Michael. You knew everything, didn't you?
What do you mean?
This woman. She killed my mother.
Michael, are you saying?
Alice, your mother killed my wife, Michael's mother.
How can that be? It turned out that Michael meeting Alice was a complete coincidence, but as he listened to her, he realized that Alice's mother was the one who had killed his own mother.
I had my suspicions, too.
Yes, we had both changed our last names.
Yes, at the time I was being chased by the media, saying that I had been laid off as a result of an affair.
Right. Not just the killer's family, but the victim's family was also dragged through the mud.
My wife was killed. All because of this woman's mistaken belief.
Mistaken belief.
Yes, my mother wasn't having an affair with the boss. She worked earnestly as the boss's secretary. She knew about the boss's affair and was pleading with him to stop.
Michael's mother convinced the boss to end his affair with Emily.
She was happy, thinking now she could work with the boss without worries. And yet, to be misunderstood and meet such an end.
Michael's father clenched his fists as he looked at Emily.
I always thought someday I would avenge my mother.
Then, the police and ambulance arrived, taking Emily away in the ambulance and arresting Michael. When I came to, the venue was empty.
I'll pay for everything here. It was my son who did this.
Let's split it. It was initially my wife's doing. Alice sat down and cried her heart out. All I could do was pat her back. Later, I heard from Alice that the venue was scheduled for demolition, and their wedding was to be its last event.
We looked for a place where, even if she did something, it wouldn't cause much damage.
Indeed, I had thought the venue was quite old. Still, as an apology, Michael's father and I paid a significant amount of money to the venue. Afterwards, Michael underwent questioning and told the police everything. There seemed to have been a detective from the original case, who cried with him when he shared his story.
A detective also contacted me, and he cried over the phone, too. He said it was the police's fault for driving Michael to seek revenge.
The police haven't done anything wrong. I believe it was all Emily's fault.
But, it's my fault my son became so desperate.
Emily survived, but she became paralyzed from the waist down and would never walk again. I've requested that she be sent to a care facility far away once she's discharged. Somewhere we'll never see her again. Alice, Michael's father, and I testified as witnesses at Michael's trial.
Alice spoke in court about everything she had suffered from Emily. I was always threatened by my mother, saying she would kill my father if I disobeyed. What Michael did was wrong. But the cause of Michael's actions lies with my mother. I am Michael's fiancé, but I am also the family of the person who caused him so much pain. As a family member of the perpetrator, I have nothing but apologies for Michael.
From the gallery, I saw Michael crying as he looked at Alice. When asked by the judge, "How do you feel about your mother?" Alice answered,
I have no mother. That's all.
Then it was my turn to testify. If it weren't for Michael, Alice and I might not be here today. Or perhaps I would have been the defendant. I believe Michael protected our lives. Are you defending the crime? To the lawyer who asked me this, I looked straight at him and said, who here can truly understand his 15 years of suffering? I will never forgive Emily. I do not resent Michael. No matter how long it takes, I will wait for him. Then I was asked the same question Alice had been asked. How do you feel about your ex-wife? To which I responded, may she live with the pain of the many lives she has troubled. Since then, Alice and I have been living together again.
I want to wait for Michael. Please wait with me, Dad.
Alice said this to me. So, we decided to wait for Michael together. Alice quit her job, and now we're farming together.
Touching the soil feels good. It's calming.
Yeah, I feel that too. This ordeal made Alice and me face our painful memories again. Through farming, we're slowly healing those feelings. The day of Michael's verdict arrived. His father, Alice, and I were in the audience. The judgment considered Michael's circumstances and he received a suspended sentence. After hearing the judgment, Michael silently appreciated the judge. We went to pick up Michael.
Welcome back.
Welcome home.
Michael apologized to us and said,
I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused.
None of us resented Michael.
Hey Michael, would you like to live with us?
Me? But I'm a criminal, you mean? Yes.
That doesn't matter. I want to be with you forever, Michael.
Are you sure, Alice?
Yes. I'm very fond of kids. Michael, you are like a son to me now.
His father thanked us and said,
Thank you so much.
Now, please go live your life as well, father-in-law.
That's right. Do come and visit us occasionally. And so, we brought Michael back to my parents' house. My parents warmly welcomed Michael, repeatedly saying, thank you. It's been 3 years since then, and Michael's probation period has ended. That day, we called his father over and celebrated.
Congratulations, Michael.
It all went by in a blink of an eye.
I've received so much help from both of you. Thank you for what you've done for my son.
When we started celebrating, Alice brought out a marriage registration form.
Let's submit this tomorrow.
Really? Is that okay?
We couldn't submit it before, but I want to be a family with you, Michael. I will always be the daughter of the one who brought you unhappiness, though. Would you still accept me as your family?
Don't say that. I love you, Alice.
Then, it's decided.
Yes. Please take care of us from now on.
And with that, we truly smiled for the first time. Now, Alice and Michael are taking over our farm. The only concern is that they say they don't want children.
They might suffer as we did.
We'll end this cycle with us.
It's a pity, but I respect their decision.